Okay guys, this is 3B once again, and this is part 3 of the new specializations overview coming soon, very soon, 10 days now I believe, something like that, in Eternal Lords. Okay, and let us go straight on to Greyguard, Adept and Master. Okay, now I like to think of Greyguard as sort of, how would I say this, militantly neutral. Okay, so they're neutral, and if you don't like it, then they're going to kill you. Alright? Now, they have skills that are really good against anything that, basically necromancer, anyone who's too evil or anyone who's too good, they have something to deal with them. Right, first of all, your inherent ability, which you get with Greyguard Adept, gives all your cities an additional 50 population. Alright, so all sorts of synergies if you're playing that population game. Okay, you know, as Goblin you already have population, so now you're getting extra population. So if you're sort of looking, I want to be a Goblin and I want to overrun everyone, there's something that's going to help you. Now bear in mind, this is 50 per turn. This is not like a simple 50 on top. This is per turn, so exponentially you're going to get better and better and better. You can see the synergy there with the necromancer, because necromancers especially have a real problem with well, I don't know if you want to call it a problem. I think it's part of the challenge is that they manipulate and use dead population, but they don't produce any on their own initially. Okay, you got to build some certain buildings in order to get that, like the Embalmer's Guild, the Harvester's Guild, the Cathedral of Bones, and it's kind of scary that I know that off my heart. I think I play this game far too much. Right, Greyguard, Scales of Fortune, one of my favorite ones. Okay, you've all seen a version. You had what did you call it? I can't remember. There's a Shadowborn one that gives you life stealing, dedicated to evil, and then there's the good version which gives your units meditate, some extra damage I think, and then dedicated to good. This doesn't give you any extra damage inherently, but this is the key thing here, which makes me think it's actually more useful. 100% more likely to deal critical damage and become dedicated to neutral. Now, bear in mind, guys, when you start the game, you are neutral. Okay, so for me, this is in a way slightly easier to get. However, as you play the game, your actions shift you to becoming either really rather good or rather evil. Now in the past people said this kind of happens without you really thinking about it, and there were no penalties or benefits really, other than, you know, you save on units if you're good and you get more experience if you go the evil route, etc. Well, now all these three specializations reduce that critique in my mind and make alignment a little bit more important. This means you have to stay neutral. Okay, especially your leader and your heroes, which are always going to be the linchpin of your army. Okay, if you go around and you think, you know what, it's actually really convenient, let me just burn this city down, which is something I have to say I do quite a lot. Bam, that's it. You're going evil, and if you're producing lots of units because you want them to do extra damage due to the 100% more likely to deal critical damage, suddenly those units are going to be really a little bit unhappy with you because you shifted towards evil. Okay, it's something you really have to think about and how you're going to use it. However, you know, it's so self-explanatory. 100% more likely to deal critical damage. Keep your morale high, critical damage, right? And if you can combine this with a way to reduce the enemy's morale, right? So I'm thinking Necromancer Greyguard here, guys. Okay, you keep your guys happy, right, and producing more critical damage. Inflate and exploit despair on your enemies, make them less happy, and wham, you're hitting for a lot more damage than the other guy. You're going to win. All other things being equal, obviously. Right, Essence Harvest. This one, now this is really quite a scary upgrade. Okay, all enemy fae, summoned undead, and creatures of magical origin. Okay, summoned means pretty much everyone's scout is summoned with the exception of Warlord, and I don't think the drone, as in the Dreadnought drone, I don't think that counts as summoned, does it? I don't know, I'll have to check. Right, but basically go around killing all these units and you get 5 casting points. Now here's the kicker, this is not an in-battle ability, guys. This stacks, and it stacks on the strategic map. So if you play your cards right and you win, for example, a really big battle against a necromancer or wandering undead, you're going to boost your casting points immediately, and it doesn't fade away. It boosts it. It's like getting a casting catalyst. It boosts it and keeps it until you use it. All right. So it's an interesting way, providing a Greyguard player an immediate way to fight sorcerers, right? And I think druids as well. So basically people who are summoning things. Okay. And that plays in quite well with the next one, which is Cardinal Coloring. So this is a spell that basically the main utility of this, guys, is if someone's spamming a particular unit, this gives you that chance. Okay, it gives you a very useful tool to mess them up. Right now, 40% weakness and 5 melee damage. This seems like almost tailor-made to fight a warlord. Okay, or yeah, because warlords will imagine if a warlord, which is usually me by the way, comes at you with an army full of knights, right? Bam, 40% weakness, 5% melee damage. Those knights have effectively been pushed down a tier and they're now merely cavalry. Okay, I say merely, cavalry is still pretty good. And here's the thing, guys, this affects all enemy units of that type. So if I come at you with 36 knights, for argument's sake, okay, and you're defending with 6, I don't know, dragons, you know, for a hypothetical thing, ordinarily I'd be like, hey, you know, knights, dragons, dragon slaying, this is going to be a right cakewalk. You throw that into the mix and it's all in the air, okay? So you could potentially really mess up someone and just punish that slight laziness and over-reliance on a unit, okay? Now, if you recall, there is a version, I wouldn't say a version, there's a counter in every one of the new things. Like here, where was it? Well, not this, unless you count Gift from Necron, kind of Black Lightning, okay? You know, that's a direct damage spell. You notice that the Greyguard Adept doesn't have a direct damage spell. It's all about making your troops better within combat. So this is actually quite a natural fit for a warlord himself, okay? Because a warlord abilities are all physical based. Okay, so imagine you faced a Manticore Rider and then he casts this against your pikeman. Suddenly that Manticore Rider is not going to die so easily to your pikeman, which would be ordinarily be the obvious counter. And Shield of Dispassion. Okay, this is again battlefield control. All right. All units gain 1 point of resistance in less flanked. All your dedicated to neutral units gain an additional 2 defense in less flanked. Think of this in terms of crowd control, guys. Okay, so if you're moving your units, for example your Crusaders, and you're parking them next to a unit and forcing them to attack, this makes that strategy that little bit more useful. So it's more kind of like a defensively minded ability. Okay, and let us move on to Greyguard Master. Golden Balance. Balance. Alright. This is your innate ability for being a Greyguard Master. A little bit of extra gold. Okay. Now, I don't know if this has been shown, guys, but the Tigran innate ability, racial ability, is that they do actually gain a little bit of extra gold. And one of their racial governance abilities, I can't remember which one, I want to say Champion, but I'm really not sure, is that all their observatories produce extra gold. So there's different synergies opening themselves up here, guys. All right. But you know what? Let me check that right now if I can. Can I do that? Hero upgrades, locations, units, ability, skills. Is that information available straight away? Only available in game. Actually, it's not, because I can do that. Okay. So let me, oh yeah, so obviously if you see that, guys, if you're a Dwarven Greyguard, right, okay, yes, you've got, your units cost a little bit extra gold, but you're going to get a little bit extra gold, so it could balance out. But let us go to Tigran, cats, plus 5 gold per city, plus for spirit protection, blah blah blah, as you've seen it there, guys, right? So back to where I was, we had Where are you? Greyguard Master. Okay, so extra gold. And then you have healing essence. Now remember, the idea here is to stay neutral, which means not going into anything unnatural, for lack of a better word. Now this is something I quite like picking this if I know I'm going to face a necromancer, because remember, the whole necromancer shtick is they focus on manipulating things on the battlefield. Okay, reanimators and also your heroes as well have the ability to heal the dead, and they get the ability to bring back the undead. Okay, so for example, if you're reanimators, they can do it up to level 2 undead units. So if you've got Ghoul cavalry, for example, and then that Ghoul cavalry dies, your reanimator can bring it back, resurrect that unit. Okay, but only if the corpse is available. If there is no corpse, then it can't do anything. And furthermore, so you're denying the area, you're denying the resources to a necromancer, for example, and furthermore, you're healing your own guys based on what those units are. So in a way, it's similar to the idea of gathering the essence. I mean, it's called healing essence, and if you recall Essence Harvest, it's similar to that. Okay. And let's go on to Purging Burst. Right, this is a skill that is tailor-made to mess around with sorcerers, necromancers, and druids. Okay, so I think this is actually a really good skill to have if you are a warlord. Okay, or a dreadnought. Okay, both could basically. The key weakness, or rather I think the key strength of sorcerers, druids, and also necromancers to a degree, although necromancers is more of a mixed class, is that they can summon things and pinpoint those reinforcements. And especially a sorcerer. Sorcerer against warlord is really a difficult matchup for me as a warlord to handle. And I know a lot of people have talked about how easy the sorcerer is to play and how powerful the sorcerer is. But yeah, be careful guys, because any class having Greyguard Master and picking this spell is going to do some serious damage to you. Okay, and then you got it's in order, Voluntary Union, which I should have talked about. Alright, cities are more willing to join your empire. The time it takes before a city is absorbed is cut by 50%. Right, this is not the time it takes to migrate a city, which was a Shadowborn skill. Okay, this is the time it takes to absorb the city. Now, absorbing the city usually takes at least 4 turns. Well, now it's going to take 2 turns. So you can see how useful this is going to be if you are, for example, a warlord. You can roll in, absorb it, because it means absorbing it is now quicker than, well, it's now your quickest option, unless you've got a city right next to it that you want to migrate to. Okay. Seen Purging Burst? Yes, we have. Okay, and then you have the Cathodic Guardian, who, again, you know, the stats aren't available here, but hopefully I will get to show you this in the next Let's Play, where I'll start a game and I'll go through the Tome of Wonders with specifically this, and also find out what Meditate does exactly, right? And that should be the subject of the next Let's Play. Thank you very much for listening.